Oh, how did that not here
Kind of lost
all over?
That's
But
a great way to start a show, man.
big
That
dog.
was
yeah,
great.
Big dog technical.
yeah, it's part of going live, man. Um, yeah, everyone, I'm Joe the host. I'm the host of Beyond the Woodline. Almost forgot the name of my show there for a second. And I have a very special co-host, David Childers, stepping in today for Shannon. How you doing, David?
Doing great, man. Enjoying the weather down here right now. It's nice and cool. It's not hot outside, you know. Actually,
Yeah,
weather is nice.
yeah, man. Same for here, man. It's actually turned out to be a nice day today. It's nice and sunny, and it's a little bit cool. But being in the sun makes all the difference. Yesterday was kind of cloudy and it was kind of cold, but
Yeah.
the sun's out today, man. So that made it great.
Mhm.
So everyone who don't know David Childers, this is David. How you doing, man?
How you doing, David?
Rocking it, man. Just trying to get through a paranormal hangover last night. Had a big investigation, so
Yeah, where'd you
yeah.
go?
I went to a private residence, and
Okay.
yeah, there was some stuff issues going on, and there was a kid involved, so had to jet out there, man, and
Oh yeah.
try to see what's going on with that situation. But
Okay. Cool beans, man. Yeah. You got anything you want to announce or talk about that you got coming up?
well, I mean, we got a lot of stuff coming up. It'd probably be the whole show talking about it, but let's go. I mean, Bobby's the guest here. Let's go ahead and jump into him, man. If you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. For those of you guys who may not know Bobby, this is Bobby Garza. He's this here in Texas. And Bobby, want to tell us a little bit about yourself, real quick?
Yeah, I've been a Bigfoot researcher for about like 4 years. I live in the B County area, Texas. We got a lot of activity around here. I know Joe. I know a few of y'all, just on Facebook and stuff. But we keep in touch, and we try to share our stories, stuff like that. But we try to contact each other and let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah, man. I think like I tell everyone, man, you're one of those guys, man, who's really, in my opinion, is a diamond in the rough, man. You always have good contact, good content, man. You always got, you put yourself out there, which is really good, and so I know a lot of us really appreciate that you do a good job down there, man.
Well, I
And
appreciate that, Joe.
yeah, man,
I
yeah.
got a lot of stories and just I try to put them out as much as I can.
Right.
But every now and then, I keep a story. I don't put it out. I like to show everybody, in the area what's going on around here. A lot of people don't even have a clue what's going on there, and I like to bring it up just so people can open their eyes and say, "Wow, this is happening here."
Right.
That's why I put them out there.
Yeah, that is so cool that in Texas area, dude. I mean, I really never thought that experiences would happen in that area. But I mean, from what I understand, it's a whole bunch, man. It really is like in Mississippi. There's a lot of people don't think there's a lot of sightings, but it is. Not like Texas. I mean, Texas is just completely huge. It's like 5 Mississippis. So.
Right. So what got you started, Bobby, into the whole Bigfoot world?
Just with my sighting, east of Pettis, like 15 minutes from here, north of Beeville. I was driving on one day and I saw this ape-like creature run across the road. I was like, "What in the world is that?" So ever since then, I've been all about it. And that changed my life. It's like all Bigfoot now. So
Right.
it's just the thought that that something like that would be running across the road.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just
No.
this is crazy. Nobody believes that.
Yeah.
it's just so many people that seen something like that. Can explain the experience. And a lot of people won't believe in you because they haven't seen it. And
Right. Right.
that's where I stand on that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you alone when you had this experience or the sighting?
Yeah, I was by myself.
Okay. And who was the first person you told?
My wife.
Oh, yeah. What did she think?
She said, "Are you crazy?" She goes, "No way." She goes, "I know you didn't see that." And I was like, "Yeah, I did. I promise you." Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So did that kind of kick you off into researching and investigating, or?
Yeah, it pushed me to go and try to research that creature and try to, experience and try to see how close I can get to it and to understand it, to why, where it lives and what it does and what it eats and stuff like that. Just like any researcher would want,
Right.
That's where I come where it's at, just trying to investigate it.
Yeah. David, were you going to say something, David?
Oh yeah, I was about to say, it's much respect, sent
There you
out.
are.
But yeah, you unfroze. Much respect sent out to you and other, investigators out there, because a lot of people don't like to make it known public. They're afraid of being ridiculed and being, made fun of and all that. And I mean, much respect sent out to actually, doing more research and actually, tapping into it and find out exactly what these creatures are and what their habits are.
Right. Yeah. I think in some ways, me and Bobby are the same, because I think we're at a point where we don't care what people think. We don't care what, we put ourselves out there, and putting yourself out there, it certainly opens you up to other people to come to you and, and talk to you about this kind of stuff. And, whether it be, Bigfoot, paranormal, UFOs, whatever, I used to not really publicize it. I was kind of keeping it to myself. Not that I was ashamed or embarrassed of it. But then after a while, I said, you know what? The hell with it. I'm just going to put it out there. And as soon as I started doing that, man, people started coming to me, left and right. And family and friends, that I would have never thought had experiences will come to me and tell me, like I said, it just various experiences.
Yeah.
Yep. You okay there, Bobby?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm just seeing here come and go, and it's just,
Okay. I'm sorry about that. So,
could be my Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Let me I'll be right back.
Okay, you're good.
Dog's barking at the door.
Okay. Yeah, so what was one of your first, I don't know, we want to call it investigations, or people that came to you, to kind of, when you started getting involved in this, or encounters that you had heard?
Everybody, are you there?
Yeah, he froze up again.
Okay.
Were you able to hear my question?
I don't know what the deal is. Hold on. Let me turn off. Let me turn off this TV here. Maybe it's eating up too much the Wi-Fi. Hold on.
usually it's Shannon that I have issues with now.
Bobby, you okay? I mean, all I saw was a phone. It looked like he.
I'm good. Yeah, hold on.
I guess we'll call this a curse of Shannon. We'll just blame it all on Shannon, regardless.
That was so funny you're saying that, because she said you would blame everything on her tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, how about now?
Okay. Yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay.
So, when you first got involved, in researching or investigating, and look at her, what she put. But what was one of your earliest, either someone came to you with an encounter or a story? Do you remember those or any of those?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like I was saying, after I'd seen this thing, I told a few others, and I had a buddy of mine, old buddy of mine. He says, "Hey man," he messaged me on Facebook. He said, "Hey man, come to my house." He goes, "I have a Bigfoot living on my property," and I'm like, "Oh come on, man, are you pulling my leg or what? I mean, is he your pet or what?" Like, no, he lives. I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll go by," and man, the first couple of days I went there, man, I heard whoops, screams, yells.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, what in the world? There's no way this could be true, man. Like, you told me there's a Bigfoot living here, and now I hear all this stuff all in one day. Come on. Right. You're playing me? But no, but after a while, I got to go and stuff like that. And man, dude, so many things happened, man. So many things. I saw it once there on this property, but it was just a quick, a second and a half of view of it, and
right.
And walk back into the woods, and ever since then, man, I was going to that property for a whole year, and we had all kinds of crazy things happen to us, my buddy got rocks thrown at, bricks, log. I even heard it tried talking to us a few times, twice. If I can remember twice, it yelled at us and it mumbled some words to us, but we couldn't understand them.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, there was just a lot of little things happened there. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
pretty
stuff like that makes you believe. I mean, if you step in those shoes and it happens to you, it's like, yeah, I can't deny it. Can't deny it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess down in your area, do you just strictly have Bigfoot? Have we heard of any other cryptids such as Dogman or anything like that going on?
Yes, I have a couple of dogmen, not in B County.
Mm.
Well, actually, there's one, and then there's another one in Catula, which is like
Okay.
southwest from here, and then the Rake.
Okay.
What else?
Yeah.
You know, those are a few cryptids that I've been into, and that I've gotten some reports on. But
Right. So real quick, David, what about you? What do you think about the rake? Have you heard of any reports of that?
Well, I mean, I've heard stories over
Right.
the years. Not really in the Mississippi area, but some of the other southern states like Georgia and Tennessee.
Yeah.
And actually been called, wanted to, go out there and do it and check out these urban legends and see if it actually does exist. And I ain't gonna lie to you, man, I'd be scared as hell if actually I ran across one. So
Yeah.
it's like, should I go or should I not go, type thing. But other than that, I mean, the rake wise, yeah, just very few. I mean, most of them are, Bigfoot, Sasquatch sightings. Not been into it and dabbled into it, especially after my sighting that I had a while back. Not including one of the sightings that was actually made reported to me. It was a guy in a monkey suit just trying to scare people running across. Yeah, I told him, I was like, dude, whenever I found out who it was, and I told him, I was like, man, you're in Mississippi, dude. Somebody gonna shoot your ass. I mean, come on,
Right.
doing that. And that's what I want to ask Bobby. Have you ran across any, hoaxes like that, been called out to any places and end up finding out it was a hoax?
No, not yet. I'm not saying, there'll never be, but I just haven't run into one yet.
But that's good.
There's one story that I was kind of like, it made me think a few times, like, there's no way. But hey, I never underestimate anybody's story. But it's always there. But
Right. Yeah, I got caught out near Dayton, Texas. That's right near the Trinity River bottoms. I don't know if you're familiar with that area or have heard them mention that, Bobby, or not. But that's a pretty active area. I got caught out there. There was an older lady, and she said Bigfoot were coming up to her trailer. She lives out in the middle of freaking nowhere out there, but it's by East Texas. But come to find out, they were just hogs. So you get that occasionally too, right? And so I personally haven't gotten any hoaxes that I know of yet. They've all seemed legit so far. Even the crazier stories, I think some of the crazier stories are almost, you can't make some of this stuff up, So, but yeah, I guess I've been lucky too, man.
Dude, that reminds me of it's not really a hoax, but we were filming at this location. We were actually doing, Sizzle Grill for a paranormal show. And we went down to the woods. Now, this is deep in Ellisville, Mississippi. This is like freaking down south in the middle of freaking nowhere, right? So we're out there and we go to this pond and we're sitting here talking, smoking cigarettes, just chatting. And the girl that was with me was like, go ahead and do some whoops, see if we can hear something out here. So I did a few times. Next thing you know, dude, I mean, it sent chills up my spine. I'm like, oh, hell no. Ended up finding out it was cows responding to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it sent chills up my spine. I mean, I was about to haul butt. And She was like, no, don't go anywhere. I was like, no, it sounded big. Well, yeah, cows do respond if you make sounds like that.
There's someone with a message for Bobby.
Oh, John. How you doing, John?
Oh, what is he saying?
Oh,
hey, Bob, you want to tell some of your stories to Squatch Magazine? Huh. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, author John, I mean, he's a good guy. I was actually in a couple of his magazines before. Great person. He's, I mean, totally, with Sasquatch, the research team, Squatch Files research team. I'm actually West Coast director of that organization. So, dude, reach out to him. He's a cool cat. I mean, he really is.
Wow. Cool. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine, actually one of my best friends' names. I call him Q. I don't know if he wants to say his full name, but I call him Q. And he lives in Mississippi. I can't remember the name of the little town, but he had an experience in Mississippi, and it was actually on the old show, that Sasquatch Chronicles show. I think it's episode 28.
Oh,
Lupin was Lupin Mendoza. You know Lupin, Bobby, or know of him?
Yeah.
It was the same episode that Lupin told his encounter.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, but so if you're listening to his encounter, man, it's a pretty good encounter. He was going down this road smoking a cigarette, and he come down like this hill, and where it bottomed out before he came up. He stepped out in the middle of the road and stepped right in front of his car. So he stopped, and he wanted to get a better look. So when he he turned his bright lights on so he could get a better look at it. Man, his bright lights hit him in the face, and he said he got pissed off and just screamed at him. Yeah. So yeah, some of these encounters, man, they're pretty scary.
Yeah.
Hey, I got the best story that I've ever even heard, and I don't really want to talk about it. I know it's kind of stupid for bringing it up, but man, dude, this story will grab you. I can't talk much about it because the guy is kind of like, no, don't bring up my name, I respect that, but
right, yeah,
I kind of like just want to give you like a rough idea what happened.
Okay.
And Big Dog wanted me to put it out on the show, but well, I really can't put out the story. So in actuality, I just gotta give you a little clues of what happened, And man, dude, this like wow, like it's a rare thing that anybody would have gone through in this whole world, dude. And it happened with this guy. Well, he was a kid. It was like 4 years old, 4 years old. He was in the East Coast, no West Coast, West Coast, and a very hot Washington. Let me put it Washington. And he was in the forest, backyard forest. He was playing. He got lost. A few hairy creatures came up to him, picked him up, and took him. They found him like 45 miles straight in the dead forest on a logger's trail.
Oh, wow.
And like 70-something hours away. And he had a lot of detail on how they carried him, how they walked and put him down, all kinds of stuff, man. I couldn't doubt that story, man. He said he had newspaper clippings, all that stuff. And I'm like, wow.
Really?
This could be worldwide news, story, not my story,
Right.
Happened to me, you know what I'm saying? And man, dude, I couldn't believe that story. That's a hell of a story, man.
Yeah.
But they found him. They found him alive, and supposedly they had pushed him off to the logger guy that was parked there on the side of the road there on the logging trail.
Okay, so they gave him to somebody, or more or less.
They pushed him off to somebody like to walk that way, so they could find him.
Huh?
But there was not a single county road, anything that crossed through there for him to be there. So he was like totally like when he got older, he started realizing, hey man, this is not any ordinary loss, and they couldn't figure out how he got 40-something miles away in the thick forest and mountains and stuff. And they were like, something did happen. Yeah. But he explained what they looked like, everything, detailed everything. And being 4 years old, I mean, to me, it's kind of hard to remember yesterday rather than 4 years old. But
right.
Yeah, he has newspapers clippings that show that how many hours, how far he was, and no roads around. So, like, how did he get there?
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy, man. That's really crazy. It kind of makes you think about that. What was that? 2 or 3 years ago, that little 4 or 5 year little boy, was it Kentucky or Tennessee? Mm-hmm. Remember when he came up missing for like 2 or 3 days, and I think at least 2 of those nights it dropped below freezing, and all he had on was this little jacket and some little jeans, and then he comes back, went to his parents' yard, and he says that the bear took him.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
But the Bears took care of them.
That was like what, maybe 2 years ago, maybe three at the most, right? But it was at least 2 years ago
There's
that
one more
happened.
story like that too that
Yeah,
I've heard. Yeah.
yeah. Since that one, but
Yeah.
I think that was definitely more popular.
Yeah.
What do you think about stuff like that, David?
Something like that. I mean, I really couldn't say because I've never
Right,
experienced anything like that.
right,
But I will say that it could happen.
right.
I mean, there's so much stuff out there that is so untapped that we do not know of. There's different species coming up every day.
Right.
And, I mean, we have no idea about, we never knew about, but there is now documentation that these things are now existing. So, yeah, something like that, I believe it could happen. You know, I would say maybe, I mean, were they maybe juvenile? Were they adult? I mean, it depends on if they were juvenile. Maybe they were just taking him and taking him to a different location, playing with him or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, in the story with the bear, you know, taking care of the kid, yeah, I totally believe that would be a Bigfoot, you know, because there ain't no way a bear would do that. There ain't no way. So, but yeah, it's definitely open to all that, all those stories, man. I wouldn't doubt anybody. Excuse me, because of my experience that I had a while back, and actually, it made national news. It made South Korea in like 3 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Bigfoot in Mississippi. You know, I never did say it was Bigfoot, but I went to an abandoned playground. I went out there, and it was during the daytime. Went out there, and supposedly it was haunted, and also did photography. So I'm out there taking photos of this old playground. It was real cool, built back in the 1950s. Still got the old swings and monkey bars and all that. So I'm out there, and I heard a rustle like in Woodline, probably about 50 yards away, something like that. And I just happened to look over, and I see something stand up, reddish brown coat. It stood up, had been 6 foot tall, had to been. I couldn't really judge from the distance, but it stood up, never did look or anything, and just started walking off and sort of did a little, sort of in a hurry and went down to the bottom of the creek. I just froze. I was like, what the hell did I just see? You know? And I came out here to search for ghosts and do photography. I didn't come out here to witness that crap. Well, I turned around. I walked away. I got my vehicle on the way home. I'm just sitting here racking my brain to what the hell was that? Well, after that experience, of course, did a news article on it, you know, and basically to put it out there, hey, look, there's bears in Mississippi, you know, sort of let people know, hey, there are bears in Vicksburg. Well, next thing you know, a year later, almost on that same anniversary date that happened, I was driving down the road, and this guy actually sitting here, he drove beside me. He was flagging me down because back then my truck was all logoed out with my paranormal team. He flagged me down. He was like, hey, I've got something I want to show you. Out there there's a church right beside it, right? And he goes to that church. And right beside that abandoned playground, I mean, it's right there on the same property, but the abandoned playground's back in the woods. Well, he was like, man, I've got a cast. I saw your story, and I just went out there the other day, and I'm glad I saw you. I've got a cast of something right now next to the air conditioning unit, and it looked like it went down the woods close to where the abandoned playground was. Okay, cool. Went out there and looked at it, and I mean, it's not a bear print. I mean, from what I've seen, it didn't look like a bear print. It's actually got some hair and stuff on it, and I told him he needs to send it off, try to get it tested, see if it was. Mm-hmm. Well, I start going down the trail a little bit more, and this was just totally odd because down the trail there was no, feet prints or anything like that. I saw handprints. These handprints were just like this: knuckles and long thumb, and that's it. So basically, looked like it was probably walking down like that. I looked at him and was like, man, I don't know if I want to know what the hell this is, because I've never seen anything like that. And I mean, that was a story with that. And I mean, we put trail cams out there a couple of times, didn't stay out there for long, but ever since then, we just never did investigate it. But he took it. Actually, Finding Bigfoot came to town. I contacted them. They came to town and showed them the cast, and they were, and what's his name? Moneymaker? Is that what his name is? Yeah. Well, he was like, he pulled up the cast and just straight out, that's a bear. I was like, all right, I'm not knowledgeable. I guess it is a bear, but I've looked up bear claw, a bear prints and all that, dude. It was not a bear, and it was something that I've never seen before. I've hunted and fished my whole life, being a country boy in the past, never seen anything like this. And that guy was legit scared. I mean, and from what I saw, I know what I saw, and it wasn't a freaking bear, especially the way it walked off pretty fast down to the bottom. I've seen bears standing up on hind legs, and they move real slow. It definitely was not a bear. Didn't have a long snout and all that. So, hey, I don't know. Not saying it was a Bigfoot or anything, but I know I saw something I couldn't explain.
Yeah, bear on 2 feet. They move kind of clumsily too. They don't move too gracefully. Yeah.
Those knuckle prints you saw. I mean, that's only obvious,
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, because I mean that would be some sort of ape-like creature,
Right. Do you have any casts of your own, Bobby? Have you found any prints down your way?
I got one. It's not the best. It was one of my first. And, I have it there, but it's not the best. But if I was to cast right now, I think I'd do a pretty good job than I did last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, I've been lucky to find quite a few prints. The 2 best prints that I ever found, I didn't have casting material with me those two times, and one of them was a 3-inch print, a little bitty print, man, out in the same as the forest, out in the middle of a creek, way off trail. It's like, man, who the hell's leaving a 3-year-old, little kid out here, with a, and then in that same creek, last summer that's when I found an 8-inch print. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And see, the one he caught was 6 by 6.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 6 by 6. So.
Yeah, probably a juvenile.
Yeah. Thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But.
So, do you have a particular area down there, Bobby, that you like going to, or is there an area down there that seems active?
Yeah, the Normanna area is pretty active. Man, there's a few properties that I've been going to. They're like pretty much like next door, and man, they see these creatures all the time. It's not like whoa, what is that? They're already used to it. They know what to deal with, what they're dealing with. And I'm pretty sure like in 1 year I think one ranch they have seen it for like maybe like at least 10, 15 times out of that year.
Man.
I mean, to me, that's a lot. That's a lot for to be seeing these creatures in 1 year. And then the other property, they haven't been there that long, but they've seen it like maybe 2 times or 3 times, I believe.
Okay.
But it's pretty active in the Normanna area. And we got something going with True Horror Stories of Texas. We're fixing to do a video shoot there, I think in March 5th and 6th. They're on one of the properties, and we're going to camp out there, and hopefully we get some live action there. But it's Delvis and John. We're going to be out there with a couple others. I think Big Dog's going to be out there if he wants to come, and then a few other guys. But we're going to do that on the 5th and 6th of March.
That's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Yeah, Shannon, you can't be heckling anybody on the show. I have to block you. Okay.
Don't heckle me, heckle Joe. I mean, leave me alone. I need a break. I need a break from you and Eileen Jones.
Yeah, one of the crazier stories that I've heard, Bobby and David, is here in Junction, Texas. I'm not familiar. I don't know if you're familiar with that area. A guy was hunting out there. He was hunting on some friends of his land. He found an old well. It was dried up, but he said it was almost filled up with bones. Like something had been just throwing animals' bones in there. He goes, I don't think there were carcasses that were falling in there. He said it looked like they were just tossing bones in there, So, I thought that was a pretty interesting story that they were using this well to do that. And I know animals can fall in wells and stuff like that, but, to fill up a well with bones,
wow.
You would think there'd be enough for an animal to jump out at some point,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And on that same property, he said the guy had a cabin where they would sleep at when they would go hunting, and he said one night something came up and was breathing through the window. And there's no cattle, there's no horses in that area. It's just used for hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a pretty crazy story too.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I tell you
There's
what,
so many
I'm gonna see if y'all ever experienced this before. Actually got through with an investigation a while back. This is a couple of years ago, and we went to a certain house location here in Vicksburg. Investigated, came back to the house, and we all sat outside. I have one light. It's over by the Woodline, and that was it. So we're sitting here, we having a couple of beers, laid back, and everybody just got quiet. Next thing you know, we heard it was like a, that's what it sounded like. And I'm like, whoa. The first thing I'm thinking, Bigfoot, and everybody else is like, well, they're paranormal. I mean, they're ghost hunters. They're not into crypto. And dude, I stood up and I went and we got my spotlight, ran over there, and I'm sitting. I mean, it sounded like it was right in behind the shed where the light is. And then we got a gully in the bottom, but it's pretty wide open because of the trees, keep it pretty clean, from anything growing. Shined it down there, nothing. Didn't see no rustling, no nothing like that. Somebody told me that it could have been a sick raccoon, but this right here was real freaking deep. I mean, it was like a growl, like type thing, and I mean, it was real close. So I don't know. Have y'all heard anything like that?
I've heard some grunts that I couldn't explain, so I don't know if that's the same thing or not. But I've heard some grunts that I couldn't explain, and they weren't hogs. I know that, and they weren't deer.
Oh no.
I know that much. I've been close enough to deer and the hogs to hear them grunt or blow at you.
Yeah, deer, they bleat. I mean, blow at you. It's totally freaking hogs too. This right here it came from something deep in the chest. I mean, I don't know, something I couldn't explain.
John has an answer for you right there.
Okay, well, there you go. There's my answer, John.
Okay. At least we got it narrowed down that it was a squatch. That's the main part, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I have some associates, I'm just say that, out near Dripping Springs, Texas. They actually called me up one time and were like, hey, I think we got Bigfoot on our property. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, they had this property now a good 30 years in their family, but they never knew anything about Bigfoot, never heard anything, or even had Bigfoot on their radar until later on all the shows started coming out, But yeah, they were getting rocks thrown at them. They're getting paced in the woods. They, the older lady had something come up to her. They got a big trailer out there, and they had something come up to the trailer. She could hear it breathing. She said it was going like like that. And she woke up her husband, who had a guy there with him, one of his friends, and they went out there and they chased it back to the woods. She woke him up. She said, "Hey, there's a bear outside, coming up to the trailer." So they ran out there with rifles and they chased it back to the woods. And when he came back, he told her, "I don't think that was a bear," So then one of their kids, who's about my age, she had two little girls that were sleeping outside. And kids come out to the country and they want to sleep in a tent. Yeah. They were sleeping in the tent outside, and her and her husband were inside the trailer sleeping. And about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, the girls come in the trailer screaming bloody murder. And she was like, what the hell's going on? They told her there was a monster walking around their tent, and that it pushed a tent down from the top, on top of them. So they freaked out and came inside. And then one time, that same girl, her and her husband were sleeping. She made a noise similar to what you made. She said she was asleep and she heard it just like that, And the window was right there by her head. So when she looked up at the window, she said she saw eye shimmer, which, eye shine, I guess, but she called it shimmer.
Yeah.
And she said she woke up her husband. Hey, there's something outside. There's somebody outside. And he went out there with a rifle and didn't see anybody. And so I asked her, I said, well, how tall would this person have to be, to be looking in the window? And she said from where the window's at, she said she's only like 5'5'1". So he goes, if I was outside trying to look in her window, her head will only come up to the bottom of the window.
Oh, damn.
She said this thing would have to have been like 7 feet tall.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. And then I asked her, so how wide, how much of the window did he take up? She goes, you know what? That window's about 4 feet wide. He took up the whole window.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
That's pretty wide there.
Yeah. And there's like, I don't know, 4 boys in that family. And, they're all hunters and stuff. And they said they would be out there, sitting around the campfire outside, and something would walk around them just outside the firelight. Now, who's crazy enough to do that on private property, out in the middle of nowhere, with four guys that have rifles with them?
That's that's unheard of. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, there are crazy people out there that would do that, but ain't out in the middle of nowhere like that. Nah.
Yeah, you're taking a big risk.
yeah, yeah.
Very.
Or they would let people use their property, for the weekend or whatever. Friends or family would go over and use property, just to take a weekend off or what have you. They would tell them too that they would see people sitting outside the trailer. People. I'm putting that in air quotes. That they'd be sitting around like they had these big logs where they would have the fire pit, and they said they'd be sitting on the logs out there, and they wouldn't go outside. They didn't know what the hell was going on. It makes me wonder if there was really people or just these things out there.
There was there was another experience that somebody told me back in the past. Well, actually, it's two occasions. I don't see if y'all have heard about stories like this too. The guy, one of my old friends back in the day, he said he looked at it was nighttime. He looked out his bedroom, well, a bathroom window, up under a street light. He saw something. It was real tall, probably about 7 foot, but it was real dark colored. I mean, of course, it's dark outside, so it was sort of like a blackened way. But he said that this thing was tall and real skinny and lanky. I mean, not like the massive, Bigfoots that you hear about, stereotype, but this thing right here was real. It looked like malnutritioned, and that's not the first time I've heard about it. It was the second time I've heard two stories about somebody else seeing the same thing in a totally different area, in Mississippi. So, I mean, could it be malnutrition, or could it be some other kind of creature? That's what I'm thinking, because real skinny and lanky, it scared the hell out of him, man. He didn't know what to think about it. So I don't know.
What do you think about it?
Dogman?
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. They just related to it as Bigfoot, because
Right.
they'd never seen before, and that's the best they could look at it. But actually, yeah, it did have a snout on it, but I mean, it was shaggy but skinny. Oh, dude, I'm getting chill bumps. Man, don't tell me there's a dog man in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Possibly Dogman, I believe.
Mississippi is actually a pretty good location for dogman. Mississippi is actually a pretty active location for dogman. There's a lot of dogman activity out of there, man.
Damn.
Yeah, be careful when you go out there, brother.
I'm now regretting being on this show. So now, whenever man, I mean, hell, that reminds, because actually, me and my friend Stormy Daniels was over about a month ago, and we went walking down the woods and it was nighttime. We were showing some stuff, and she stopped and she froze right in her tracks. She was like, "David, there's something over there. It's fucking dark. I'm sorry about the language. It's dark, it's skinny, and I couldn't see it, but she saw it, and we hauled ass out of there. So maybe that's what it was that made that grunting noise. I mean."
Right.
Yeah.
And like Kimberly also said, maybe a different breed. Yeah, it could be a different breed, different species, Yeah. But I have heard of people spotting tall, lanky squatches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have heard that.
I wonder if that maybe over the years. Well, maybe it's because of low vegetation, or either that. I don't know if they would be meat eaters or vegetarians or whatever, but maybe it's like she said, like a different kind of species. They have a different kind of diet, type thing, especially in the area.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure I think for the most part, this is a species that that is big, but there's got to be some every now and then be smaller than the rest. It's like people. Yeah. Just like any other horses, they're good examples. Dogs, I've seen big boxers. I've seen little tiny boxers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I hope it's not dog man. Y'all scare me.
Yeah. That's probably the one thing I wish I hope I never run into when I'm out there. I got an interesting story too I wanted to share with you guys. I had a friend of mine tell me to take a dog whistle, and to give that a shot. So I took it out there, and it was me. I don't know if if you're familiar with Shane Church or not, Bobby.
Yeah.
and then Ernie, and you know Ernie. I think you know Ernie.
Yeah.
So we were all
Ernie.
out there together. Yeah, Ernie, crazy dude, freaking hilarious. Um, yeah, I was out there with him about 3 weeks ago. As a matter of fact, uh, if you get a chance to go out with Ernie, man, go out with him. But it was me, Shane, and Ernie, and we were out by Four Notch Road, which is a popular area. And I had this dog whistle. I'm blowing this damn dog whistle. I blew it like 4 or 5 times, and I stopped, and we hear this freaking growl. And this growl, I mean, it was maybe, I would say maybe from 200 yards away. You could hear it where it started, and when it hit us, it was like boom, right in our chest, you know. And but as loud as it was, is what I tell everyone. As loud as it wasn't like it filled up the forest. I mean, because it went straight to us. You know what I'm saying? It went from point A to point B, right to us, man. It was just the weirdest shit I ever experienced. You know, as far as sound goes, you know.
Yeah.
I just can't explain that. But anyway, so after that, I said, man, I ain't never take this damn dog whistle out again. And I didn't. But I think I'm getting to a point now where I want to take it out again. And that was maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I think it was in 2017 when that happened.
I'll be afraid to go out and use a dog whistle because I might summon my ex up.
She'll come running back. Hi, David. Did you call me?
Okay, that's where that grunt came from. I know it was her in the first place. Okay, I'm gonna be nice. All right.
So what about you, Bob? You had any scary experiences for your...
Not really. I got a good story that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Just up here north of Beeville, this guy was camping with his family. I think I posted this not that long ago, and they were camping on his property, which is just, I think he had like 20 acres, but no cattle, no horses, no cat, nothing like that. But they were barbecuing. They had a radio going on. They were listening to music, and it started getting dark. And they had like a little 9-year-old, him and his wife, and they were just having a good time. So they got in the tent, had the radio playing. They had a little light on, and they were just there kicking back. And then all of a sudden, his wife goes, "Hey, I hear something walking." So they turn on the radio. They're like, "I don't hear anything." So they go back at it. They're playing board game or whatever they're doing, and then back again they both hear a walk. Somebody walking. So he was like, he had his gun with him. So he was like, "Well, I got my gun here. So something happens, So the little boy gets a little scared. He said, "Dad, well, what is it? I don't know. Let's just be quiet. Let's listen." So they turned down the radio, and all of a sudden, a face peeks into the screen of the tent. He said it looked exactly like an ape face. And boy, they all screamed. They all screamed. He got out, started blasting to the woods, shooting, but he was running at the time. So he started shooting rounds into the woods, and they threw everything in the back of the truck and just took off out of the property.
I don't blame
But
him.
I think that was kind of creepy, man. For a whole family.
Kind of creepy. That's beyond kind of creepy.
Dude,
Yeah.
no. I would never go camping. I would never go in the woods again. No.
Yeah. My friend Will Jevning would have called that an underwear changing moment. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, dude, I wouldn't even know how to react with that. I'd probably freeze and probably do the same thing. But yeah, that's just. I mean, I'll go face to face with the ghost and spirit whenever it comes with something like that. Living wise, no, I'm gone. I'm out.
Man, that would. I think I would have just shot through the tent. I don't care if it was human or not. You scared me. Hey, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I don't know if I would have packed anything up. It would have just been my family, and that's about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they have a time limit on getting into the vehicle. Yeah. You know what? Out there in the Sam Houston, people actually do find abandoned campsites, and me and my friend Armando actually rolled up on one. It wasn't. People do live out in the woods sometimes. People do, because you got like 14 days, So what they'll do is that they'll move from site to site, So you do have that, but we have found sites that were just abandoned, and you know they're abandoned because everything is covered with like litter or moss or even like mildew or pollen and stuff like that. You can tell someone's been there for a while. So it always makes me wonder what made these people abandon everything, and just leave. What they did say, you know what, we don't want to go camping no more. Let's just drive off and leave our camp here. So it makes me wonder about stuff like that, when people talk about that kind of stuff, man. And
yeah, absolutely, man. I totally agree because I know if I would have saw something like that, I would have left everything too. Now I'll buy another tent. I mean, like you said, I probably wouldn't want to camp again, but yeah. No.
Yeah. Somebody said they would have poked that SOB in the eyes. Yeah. Okay. I think that's probably the last thing you're thinking about, right?
Yeah, reminds me of Three Stooges, doing that. No.
There you go. Yeah, he would have blocked it, right?
It's going to be another Jack Slinks commercial.
There you go. You can't be giving them these ideas, man. But yeah, when you talked about that incident with the tent, I had a friend tell me that he was camping and he seen the face press up against the nylon and that he could see the mouth going like that.
Oh,
yeah, like that, and he just barely nicked him on his arm right here. He said he was going like that, trying to get away from it, because his wife was saying his wife was next to him. He was trying to push her away, and he said his mouth was just going like that, right through the tent, to the through the vinyl. Yeah.
What did I walk into? What did I walk into? Y'all are going to give me nightmares tonight, bro.
Are you going camping with us after all, David?
No. I don't even know if I want to go camping this next weekend at the Bonnie and Clyde Museum with Shannon now.
Yeah.
I got a question for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever had any stories where they see the creature running and it just disappears?
I haven't.
It's funny you say that too, Bobby. I've always heard them, right? I've always heard people say the damn thing just disappeared as I was watching it walk off, right? Maybe about a month and a half ago, or maybe not that long ago, I was with my cousin. He had a little birthday party, and he's like, "Hey man, I see your whip. I see your podcast sometimes." Okay, cool, man. He goes, those things exist. I said, no shit, huh? And he goes, yeah, man. He says, we all seen one time. That his grandfather on his dad's side had some property up near Madisonville. I don't know if you know where Madisonville is. Maybe 2 hours north of Houston. Okay, and I guess there's like a big I don't know what to call it, a creek or maybe a small river that runs through there. And there goes Beth for you.
Oh, Beth. Love me some Beth.
Yeah, I love Beth too. And he was telling us that they would actually see it walking in the woods and stuff. And at one time, they went after it. They went chasing the damn thing, right? And they could see its footprints. But as they're chasing it, he goes, "There's about 20 of us. They're all, chasing this damn thing, And then they just saw it disappear. They all saw it disappear. Wow. I said, did it go behind a tree? Did it go? He goes, dude, it was already out in the open, and it disappeared.
And see, stuff like that is why there's theories out there that Bigfoot and ghosts and all that is also incorporated with aliens. Aliens too as well.
Right.
It just disappears. There's no way. That would be human, a mammal, but
right. And it's one thing for one or two people to say it, but he told me, he goes, there was a group of about 20 of us. He goes, we all saw it just vanish right in front of us.
Dang.
Yeah. But yeah, he said that on his property that this creature was always there, and he had a funny story where they were jumping in the river, and one of the cousins had snuck in the river and swam underneath it. And when he jumped up to scare everyone, he didn't scare anybody because they knew he was going to do it. So they just kind of stared at him for a little bit. On the other side of the river, this creature runs out, and they all take off running. And the cousin in the river thinks that they're all running from him, that he's the one that scared them, until he turns around and he sees the creature on the other side, that he jumps out of the river and comes over there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Well, that was instant karma, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but that was an interesting story when you told me that. I was like, "What the heck are you telling me?" You know, what am I? But I also believe that there is some paranormal or supernatural stuff that goes on in the woods, and that there might be something else out there other than Bigfoot that people are seeing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Nancy says what skinwalkers, and
yeah, Nancy.
yeah, I don't know where I sit with skinwalkers, but I do know I've heard enough skinwalker stories that you can't ignore them.
Right.
Right? And you probably know that too. And being in paranormal, sometimes you don't know where you sit with something, but you hear a story enough from different people all over the country that you can't just ignore it. You got to
Yeah.
give it some attention, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, that's like, one of my favorite ones is the black shuck. Have you ever heard of black shucks?
Never heard of that. Never heard of that.
Look up black shucks. Black shucks are basically sort of like the hounds of hell,
Okay.
dog of death.
Okay.
Thing. It's definitely an interesting read. Um, there's a lot of stories about there. It's sort of like Mothman type thing. But anyway, yep, Beth Hounds of Hell sightings. They're called black shucks.
Okay.
Black shuck, you see black dog sitting in front of somebody's house, death is going to be knocking at the door. There's with sightings like that. There's also the person did pass away that found black dog hairs around their mouth, and that's also a story. Actually, it was a story based off of that. It was oh, Eileen Jones, shut up, woman. No, I love it, this girl, but yeah, I mean, there's stories like that about Black Shuck all around. There's one here in Vicksburg. They called him Woolly Booger back in the '60s, and this one guy in a massive black dog in the woods in Camel Swamp area, and there was chickens and farm animals and stuff that came up missing all the time. Well, this guy ended up unloading a freaking clip in this dog. He knows he hit it and unloaded a clip in it, and 3 days later, people started seeing the dog again. Nothing wrong with him. So, yeah, Black Shuck's pretty creepy, man.
Hmm. Have you heard anything like that, Bobby?
Never.
Never, huh?
I've never heard a story like that, but that's new to me.
So,
I've never even heard of it.
I did have an interesting story involving a black dog. The
Mhm.
whole reason why I'm into this subject, into this whole crazy genre that we're in, when I was growing up, I had a neighbor, and he worked with my dad, and so I grew up with his kids. We're all about the same age, his kids, and me and my brother.
Yeah.
And he would, oh yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out.
All right,
But
sir.
he had he always had paranormal stories and UFO stories and Bigfoot stories, and he would always he was the guy that we went to get their shit scared out of us when we were little. So he's the whole reason why I'm involved with this stuff. He really piqued my interest. So he had a story. He grew up in Robstown, Texas, just right near our Corpus. And when he was growing up, he was telling how bad he was. He was really a bad dude in real life too, tough guy. Um, but he was saying that when he was a teenager, he was going out, and his mom told him, "No, you can't go out. You need to stay home tonight." He said he cussed his mom out, all kinds of ways, and he left the house. When he came back home that night, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever, uh, she had locked all the doors, so he went around to the back, and Robstown's out in the middle of nowhere. Uh, and even at that time, when he was a teenager, he was really out in the middle of freaking nowhere. So he walks around the house. He says all of a sudden he hears this growl. And he turns around. There's this big black dog growling at him with this red eyes.
Mhm.
And he says, "Man," he started banging on that back door, calling his mom, and she finally opens the door because she hears him screaming. At this point, he was terrified. And when he came inside the house, she's standing there, and she's like, "What? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" He said, "That dog. Close the door. There's a dog. He's gonna get me." She said she turned around, so there was nothing out in the backyard.
Yep.
So I was wondering, I don't know if that's related or not, but that,
Yeah, I mean, that would sound like a Black Shuck. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not into the red eye thing. I'm really not.
right,
I mean, I think it's just regular eyes.
yeah.
Okay, what is Shannon saying? I have. Oh, okay, never mind. She's saying something else. Oh, okay. You're welcome, Shannon. But yeah, I mean, I'm not into the eye thing. I think they're probably going to be different colored, like yellow, regular dog eyes or cat eyes
Yeah,
or something like that.
right.
But, I mean, the stereotype is that's all of them have red eyes.
Right.
Maybe they were shining a flashlight and it picked it up. I don't know.
Right.
But it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of
Yeah, that's very interesting.
yeah. Yeah, there's actually quite a bit of weird stuff that goes down here in Texas. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just our culture. I don't know.
Oh, but
Speaking of dogs, I heard I got a story. A guy had told me, and he was very. He's one of those type of people like just want to put you down because you believe in Bigfoot. He's one of those guys.
Hmm.
And one day we were working together, and north of Beeville, like 30 minutes north of, is Kennedy, Texas. Well, he said that his dad told him a story a long time ago about that he was working in a meat marketplace, and he was there early in the morning for some reason, and he was throwing some stuff in the dumpster early in the morning, and and when he looked outside to go through the trash, that there was an alleyway, and when he looked that way, he heard growling and barking, growling, just like something was killing something. So he
yeah,
walked a little closer to take a peek, and when he looked that way, he says there were two dogs upright, standing, growling at each other, and that they weren't on their fours; they were upright
oh, two
and
legs.
two legs upright, like they meant business, and they weren't like coming down to their fours; they were just up on their twos. And I told him, I said, "Well, what do you think it was? What your dad think it was?" He's like, "He don't know." He says, "He don't know what they were," but he said he told me that story. But he goes, "I know that's not Bigfoot." He said, but he says Bigfoot doesn't exist anyway. He told me. So I said, "Well, whatever, man." I said, "Whatever you want to believe, dude." I said, "But when you see one face to face, or when you encounter one," I said, "then come back and talk to me." I said,
Right.
"Eventually, if you're lucky, you just might see one." And he's like, I said, "Man, anything towards that?" I said, it's probably a dog man, two dog men at it. They're probably fighting over the dumpster trash or something. And he was like,
Territory.
"What is that?" He goes, "What is a dog man?" He goes, "That doesn't even exist either." I'm like, "All right, man, whatever. Go back to work."
Yeah.
Nancy brought up a question about using apps as paranormal investigators. Now, I wish somebody would create an app where, say, if you want to get into some of these cryptos and stuff, they actually have the calls on there, this and that. Just like Coyote Call, Coyote Hunt.
Right.
Have this app where everything's built into there, and you just hook up to a speaker and do the same thing. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty interesting. You got all your tools right there in one, but they have to be basically accurate on some of the research, some of the sounds. But
Right. Yeah.
cool.
That's one thing I wish they would develop too. Is maybe something you could record, and then you could listen back to the on that app right away, and they could do a comparison of what this creature could be.
Yeah, even if it calculates the range, the distance,
Right.
decibel type thing,
Yeah.
and put that all in there, so you'll be able to actually see,
Yeah.
find out what it is,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, even coordinates, man, that'd be real cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds cool, man. We can do a lot of that.
Yeah. Because people hear like Bobcat and even Fox make some crazy vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever hear a fox, the first time you hear a fox make a crazy scream, it'll scare the shit out of you.
Oh shit! Just like a panther.
Yeah. Or even a freaking owl. An owl is like a chimpanzee sometimes. And people say, "There's a monkey out here." No, it's a freaking owl.
Yeah, screech owls. Screech owls. Yeah, and I mean, hell, let's see, panthers, definitely panthers. Oh my god, it's horrible. The coyotes too. Whenever they do in the playing game,
Right.
and they're doing that yelping and stuff, sound like freaking hyenas.
Yeah, yeah,
shivers up your spine, especially if you're in the middle of freaking nowhere.
yeah, especially in the middle of the night, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, that can be very, yeah. A necrophonics app. What is a necrophonics app? Do you know what that is, David?
Would that be something like Dragon or something like that? That where basically the voice comes around and it types it out. Would it be something like that? If I'm not mistaken, that would actually something good for EVPs and stuff like that. It just types out what it's saying, or ears type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's what she's talking about. Basically the same thing. I'm not sure.
So one last question, Bob. What do you think Bigfoot is, man?
My opinion, I think he's an animal, and I don't think it's probably a species that we can't get our hands on. Yes, I think he has some abilities that no other creature in this world has, and I think they're a lot intelligent than most creatures in the world. I mean, come on, look how long it's been that we can't get actual proof on them. They're doing something really smart to stay away that much. So I think they're just a different species that we're probably gonna take a while for we to figure out.
Mhm. Yeah, see, I kind of think that too. I think they're a regular flesh and blood animal. At least the Bigfoot that I'm looking for, like I said, I do think there's something paranormal or supernatural out there. But the Bigfoot that I'm looking for, I think is a flesh and blood creature with just extraordinary abilities to be able to avoid us.
Yeah.
You know. What do
I
you think
mean,
about that, David?
I mean, could it be primates that say a train wreck, a zoo? Say back in the day there was a big train wreck and had nothing but zoo animals on it, and these primates they get away, they couldn't catch them all. Couldn't they evolve? Could they have evolved over the years to actually get used to that habit? The area, the habitat, and stuff like that. And like y'all were saying, totally different kind of creature. Still primate, but totally something we really never was raised around, and we have scientific evidence about.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree with that too. Yeah. Well, cool beans, man. We're wrapping up the show. Bobby, you want to give everybody your contact information, your group information, and tell them how to get a hold of you or come find you on Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook, South Texas Extreme Bigfoot Hunters and Encounters. Find me on YouTube for Bigfoot Bobby Garza. My team, South Texas Scripted Research Team. Just hit me up if you got any stories, anything, any questions. Just call me or message me or something. And about that magazine, who is that, Joe?
His name is John. I'll find his name in the comments. You can look back on the Facebook and you'll find his comments. And he actually sent a link too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Squatch GQ author. Yeah, Squatch GQ is what it is. It's on Facebook or Sasquatch Files.
Okay.
Gotcha. Like I said, just go back to the fan page, the Beyond the Woodline fan page, and look at the comments. You'll see his name. And like I said, he sent a link on there too. You can click on and just get a hold of him.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Joe. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Nice. David, you have anything you want to add?
No, David? I appreciate you letting me come on the show. And Shannon, thank you for canceling out because I had a blast.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah. I miss you too, Shannon. Yeah. How about that? But cool, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, man. I appreciate it. And thanks to everyone in the chat room for participating. I appreciate that too, man. You guys always got good questions and good content in there too. So there goes Shannon over here. What?
Love you, Shannon.
Yes, Shannon. Love you. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for coming. We'll talk to you guys later. And you two guys, hold on.
All right.